Hey guys, here on episode 105, asking you, does your marketing have a problem? Not sure? It's fair. Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to the 88 Show. This is the internet's only dental show where we talk about what matters most in marketing. My name is Josh, I'm your host, and this episode 105 coming at you live from the Studio 88 offices. Nobody is behind me, but the office is full today. It's funny, man, we finished out this other space and now everybody wants to hang out in there. Got some of the crew over here. We are on a special Facebook Live testing some new equipment. Super excited about that. Also, we have a special guest in the house today. You know what? I need to grab her. So say hi.
Hi.
Katie's coming over to join us today, just hanging out with us for a day. She's a marketing major at Indiana Wesleyan. Wanted to kind of see a little real world marketing company.
It's been really awesome to get to see what you guys do.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for hanging out with us. I feel like I have to put everybody on the spot at least once. Cool. What are we talking about? Oh, let's do a show. Obviously you can edit this and make all that work. So we're excited to introduce March's topic to you. You might have a marketing problem if. So that's the topic of the month. And honestly, it just came out of conversations lately I've been having on the phone. I probably deal with 6 to 10 phone calls a week from clients, from potential new clients, from people just trying to get some help on their marketing. I always put it out there, I'm more than willing to help. But what that has allowed me to do is see a lot of different problems come through and almost create these like symptoms, right? And you start just diagnosing, and eventually you see these patterns and you're like, oh, that is this, and that problem is this. And so, for example, last week I was on the phone with a company, a brand new startup, hired a well-known national dental marketing company, paid them $7,000 a month. That was the contract. Called me in month 10 of it because he just wasn't happy with it and wasn't sure that it was working, right? So we start diagnosing a problem. Another startup called me because they thought they had a marketing problem, getting 35 to 45 new patients a month, but felt like they needed 70 or 80. And so when I get in those conversations, it's like, is there a problem? Is there not a problem? What's the solution? What are the symptoms that we're seeing? And so I wanted to share those with you. So we're gonna jump into 6 symptoms of ineffective marketing or marketing that's not working. All right, so let's go. Symptom number 1, when it becomes a race to the bottom. Okay, when everything in dentistry becomes about price, and maybe the new corporate group is coming into your town, and all of a sudden it's like there's deals and promotions, and you start feeling this pressure to compete on price, then you know that your marketing might have a problem. And this is exactly why a $19 new patient exam may not be the best fit for you or the best idea for your practice, even if it drives record number of new patients. Even if you have your best month ever, if those patients aren't a good fit for what you're trying to do and your quality of care and philosophy of care, man, it might not be a good fit. It may solve a short-term problem. It won't serve a long-term problem. And so if you feel like you're in this race to the bottom, your marketing might have a problem. Number 2 is there's no clear change being communicated. And so you may have heard this old adage where nobody goes to the hardware store to buy a drill bit. People go to the hardware store to buy a hole in the wall, right? And it's clever, but it's true. Like, people go to the hardware store to buy a picture being hung up at their house. They're not going for the drill bit. And so dentistry is very, very similar. Because it's service-based, we have a tendency to focus on the services. And when we compete against other people and try to differentiate ourselves, it's like, well, XYZ does this, but we do that. And it stays in this like service realm of how we communicate. And the fact is, nobody's coming to see a dentist because of the service. They're coming because of the change, the health, the confidence, the security, the things that they're looking for those services to solve. That's what we need to speak to. And so if all you're doing is talking about services, your marketing might have a problem. All right. Number 3, there's no raving fans. And what I mean by this is, like, when was the last time you got an unsolicited review? You know, one that you didn't ask for or incentivize, but the kind that just kind of comes out of nowhere and surprises you. right? Like when was the last time that happened? Recently our team got one from a somewhat newer client, and we had just started finishing up a project and was sending it over to him. And so he sent this email, and I loved it because he said, "Hi Josh and the Studio 88 team. I really don't even know where to begin, or do I have the words to describe how I felt going through this unbelievable work. You guys and your team are truly life changers. We are pleased beyond our wildest dreams and can't thank you enough. We're so happy we found you and can't wait to continue our friendship." And so when I got that email, man, of course it makes me happy. But you notice he talks about the change, right? It's not the service we provided, it was the change. But I shared it with the team and I told them, look, trust is the most important thing that we do. If we don't do that good, if we don't do that well, we'll never have a chance to show people all the amazing, things creatively that we can do if there's no trust. And so when there's no raving fans, you might have a marketing problem. All right. Number 4, there's no engagement. So you might have a marketing problem if there's no or very little engagement with your practice. Fortunately, we live in this day where there's this clever little thing that helps us know if people are engaging in our practices. It's called social media, right? So it's real easy to answer this question, like, are people engaging with your practice, with your culture, with what you're doing? And so typically if that's not happening, usually what I see is a values alignment problem. And most of the time what I mean by that is practices have this opportunity to communicate their values via social media, and like, what do you believe in? How do you run a business? How does your team interact? Like all that cultural stuff, like what do you believe about dentistry? You have an opportunity to communicate those things to the public, to your community. And when you do that, people will naturally align with those and then they'll engage. And so if there's no engagement, a lot of times it's actually pretty simple. Maybe we're just not communicating our values well. Maybe you haven't defined them and that's why you're not communicating them. Maybe you're just not active on social media. And so if there's no engagement with you and your team in the practice, you could have a marketing problem. Number 5, there's a decrease in momentum. There's a decrease in momentum. And at the end of the day, marketing is really about momentum. When you have it, man, it feels awesome. When you don't have it, things are tough. It just feels like you're slugging along. And so what I see happen a lot of these phone calls, and I can almost identify it immediately. The practice, it's a startup or it's a practice acquisition. There's a purchase. The doctor who owns it comes in because it's new, is focused on marketing, really hitting it hard, spending the money, engaging with the community. The marketing starts working, right? And they've got this momentum and things are growing. But then what happens is the practice gets busy. And now we're just focusing on clinical. And now that's all the time we have to do is to treat patients. And so the marketing begins to decrease. When that happens, the momentum of the practice slows down. And this is why I say marketing has to happen regardless of whether or not you need it, because the moment you put it on autopilot is the moment that marketing, that momentum begins to decrease over time. And if you're not careful, you'll wake up 5 years, 10 years down the road and go, oh my gosh, what happened? We have to market. And that's never a good situation. All right, so number 6, if you're chasing what's hot and what's trendy, okay? And so I see trends come and go in marketing. I've been around long enough to know, we've seen the free whitening, we've seen the QR codes. Like, do you guys remember QR codes? I remember literally being at a conference and a marketing speaker standing up in front of hundreds of people and telling them if they didn't have a QR code, they were like missing the boat, like missing everything. Almost like their marketing was going to tank and fail because they didn't have a QR code. But Groupons, like all these things that come and go. And the fact is, they're not like good, bad, right, or wrong, but you have to know if it's the good fit for your practice. But even more than that, if you're treating these like the miracle solution to your practice, right? Like, we're gonna get a QR code and it's gonna change everything. We're gonna start this email drip campaign and it's gonna change everything. Your marketing might have a problem. And when I see people take trends and what's hot and what's new in the industry and treat them like Hail Mary passes down the field, hoping that somebody catches it and scores a touchdown, I'm like, I think your marketing might have a problem. So these are the 6 most common symptoms that I see when I'm on the phone and talking to doctors and practices. For me, I can start to see patterns and figure out what problem is going on behind the scenes. The thing about solving a marketing problem, man, it's very straightforward. It's not always easy, but it's straightforward. you have to communicate your way out of a marketing problem. And that's it. So when it comes to solving that, what we're gonna do is really define your values and start to communicate them to the community, to potential patients, to current patients, to your team. Because when you start to communicate and move forward with your values aligned with your brand, now the marketing can start gaining momentum. And so it's always a communication solution. All right, guys, that was episode 105. Thanks so much for being here. You'll find the link to the article down below. Hit that up if you want some more information on this topic. Best place to find me is on Instagram at Joshua Scott. We'll put the link down here. Hit me up, man. Would love to talk to you. If you have a marketing problem and you're trying to get out of it, hit me up, come up with a solution. Same shameless plug right there. Seriously, would love to help you any way I can. Guys, see you next episode.